On the day Afamefuna was born, it was a big remarkable day in Igumba village because for over 2 years it hasn't rained in Igumba village. All the farms are empty with no crops, nor fresh leaves, nor grass. The streams are all dried up, leaving the villagers in great thought of what their fate might be in months to come. Many concluded that the gods are really angry with them. Maybe someone has committed a sacrilege. They were still in this thought when all of a sudden it began to rain. It rained after 2 years of no rainfall in Igumba village, and as it started to rain, the villagers started dancing and rejoicing. There were shouts and noise all over the village. They began to dance in the rain, while some brought out their drums and started to beat them, while some brought out their flutes to make music alongside the drummers. There were screams of joy from both the young and the old, but they immediately noticed that the sound of jubilation was becoming too loud from a particular direction in the village, and they all followed the voice, and it led them to the Igwe's palace. On getting to the palace, they now realized that the prince has just been born, and his birth immediately brought the rainfall. This caused more jubilation all over the kingdom. There was dancing and singing and shouting and jumping around everywhere because the long-awaited prince is here. The villagers have been longing for a prince since the king and his first wife, Ubomma, was joined together as husband and wife. But after many years, the queen showed no sign of pregnancy, and the king had no other choice than to marry a second wife. And just exactly 9 months after their marriage, the second wife took in and now giving the king a long-awaited son. It was indeed a day to remember always. Afamefuna was born into the royal family of Eze-Bubago. He is the first son of the king. The first wife, Ubomma, was very happy with the second wife, and also welcomed the young prince with her whole heart. She immediately volunteered to be among the women that will birth and take care of the young prince, and she said, "My co-wife, please allow me to learn how to take care of children with our young prince." And the second wife responded, "Yes, my queen mother." 8 market days later, it was time for the naming ceremony, and all the villagers and elders gathered together for the occasion. Kings and dignitaries gathered from neighboring towns and villages to witness the naming ceremony of the first prince of King Ebubago of Ugumba land. Everyone came wearing their best clothes and jewelries and looking very beautiful, and this made the day very colorful. Everyone came bearing gifts to give the prince and asked for blessings from the prince, even though he was still very tender, but that was their belief and tradition. After all other rites and rituals have been performed, then it was time for everyone to present their gifts. The chief priest was carrying the prince, while someone would stand in line and welcome the prince with a gift. It was the king that first presented his gift to his son, which was the skin of a leopard. This was an ancestral right and a birthright passed down from generation to generations, that the young prince will be presented the skin of a leopard by his father, and this will confirm of him being the crown prince. But something happened. Immediately this was presented to the young prince by his father. There was a loud cry of pain from the prince, to the extent that he couldn't be controlled until he was handed over to his mother to be breastfed. But he was still unable to be controlled. What do you think made the prince wail and cried so much? Let's keep going. I bet we will find out just in time. After much consolation and breastfeeding, the prince was able to be calmed down so that the ceremony and gift presenting can continue. But this raised murmuring amongst the villagers, as they were all confused why the young prince has to wail and cry painfully while his father, the king, presented his birthright gifts to him. The king's first wife, Ubomma, presented her gift, but as she was about to stand up, the prince's hand touched her stomach and she felt a cold rush down her body and felt like falling. But she immediately caught herself and the villagers thought maybe she missed her step. His mother also presented her own gift and he received it with a smile. But something else happened when the king's childhood friend, who is also a king from the neighboring village, presented his gift. It was a shock to everyone because the prince is quite too young to have any mind of himself, if not through the directions of the spirit. Watch out for episode 2, coming soon.